It's Monday morning. New health coach wakes up, feels inspired. Maybe she makes a green smoothie, she lights a $60 candle, she sits at her laptop and she says, "Today's the day. I'm going to grow my business." So, first up, she starts Googling fonts on her laptop. She then spends 2 hours trying to find the perfect name for her business. And by lunch, she's half built a Kajabi landing page with no copy. She's watched 3 YouTube videos on how to connect her email automation that she hasn't written yet. At 3 p.m., she has a brilliant idea for a group program, her third offer in 2 weeks. She creates a Canva mockup for it, doesn't post about it, just saves the file. She opens Instagram. She starts to write a caption, deletes it, rewrites it, deletes it again. 6 p.m. now. She's exhausted, mentally fried, and wondering why she still doesn't have clients. Kind of familiar, maybe? This is what's called death by 1,000 business tasks. And it's exactly how coaches stay stuck for months, sometimes years, feeling busy, but also broke. So, what I want to do today is break down the 5 biggest business killers of your coaching dreams. And no, it's not your lack of qualifications. And it's not that you haven't built your signature framework yet. It's these 5 traps and strategy spirals that silently sabotage your momentum. And I want to call them out. So, killer number 1, I don't think you're going to be surprised by this: niche avoidance syndrome. Okay, so if you are avoiding a niche, or maybe you think you have a niche, but you don't, this is going to be the biggest killer. In 2025, or even if you're listening to this in the future, niching is incredibly important because the market, the online market, is very busy. It's very competitive. There are tons of coaches and practitioners and doctors, a lot of people selling health. And you need to stand out. And if you were brand new and you were doing anything general, you're going to be completely invisible. And it's very easy to look at other people online and see that they do something more general and they're successful. But typically, you're going to be looking at people who started their business way before you did. I actually had this conversation with a woman the other day. We were talking about the perimenopause space. And for women who are wanting to, or sorry, coaches who want to help women in the perimenopause space, what we recommend is that they niche down into a symptom of perimenopause, because perimenopause in general isn't a problem. It's just a phase of life, but it's a highly competitive space. There's been so much awareness around perimenopause, which is a great thing for women, but maybe not the greatest thing for the coaching space if you want to focus on perimenopause. So I was speaking with this woman the other day and I was telling her this. We're like, look, like 5 years ago, you could just say I help women in perimenopause and that would be profitable. But now we're just seeing that they are just staying invisible. They're not standing out. And what's helping people do so much better is if they niche down into a specific experience or symptom of menopause, like focusing on perimenopause weight loss, focusing on perimenopause fatigue or burnout or insomnia, that sort of thing. And I remember this woman saying, well, she's like, that's just not what I've seen. Like there's this person and this person and this person. And I'm looking at these people and these are big influencers in the perimenopause space who've been online for years. And I'm like, yeah, but they didn't start today. So they were able to build a massive following in a time where it didn't matter as much to have a niche. And you who's listening to this podcast, you're probably earlier on in your business. You don't have that credibility, authority, warm audience. And so this is how you can make yourself stand out and carve out a space for you in the market, because you don't actually want to be competing with those huge people. Okay, so symptoms of niche avoidance syndrome: talking to everyone, but attracting no one, creating vague, generic content that doesn't feel like it gets any traction. You're constantly tweaking your bio because it just never feels clear. Your clients have nothing in common. So they have MS, they have cancer, they have Hashimoto's, they have acne, they have weight loss. They're men, they are women, they're all different types of people who really seemingly have nothing in common in their lives or in the problem that you're helping them solve. The symptoms is feeling like you don't know enough, always lacking confidence, and just, having to spend a lot of time researching these individual health conditions, spending a lot of time on PubMed, on Google, in ChatGPT, hopefully Scholar GPT, because it's much smarter than the ChatGPT, but just feeling like you're always like not sure what you're doing. You're lacking the confidence because your people are so diverse. Now, the root cause of niche avoidance syndrome is really just the fear of leaving people out, right? The fear of niching down and people not coming to you. Okay. But ultimately, niching down is about exclusion, and that's the point. Let me give you an example. If I was going to launch a skincare product, do you think I'd be successful if I was like, this is a skincare product that helps you with everything? Acne, wrinkles, melasma, rosacea, it's going to help. And would you believe me? You're like, what is this, some fucking magic skincare? Like, this sounds like bullshit. This sounds like someone's peddling me a scam, right? If I was going to be successful with a skincare product, I would determine like what it's actually going to help. Does this help with fine lines? Does this help with wrinkles, melasma? Because if it helps with melasma, I can say, hey, melasma is a really tricky skin condition to get rid of. I know it because I got a little bit of melasma from pregnancy and it's gotten significantly better, but it's really stubborn. But there's messaging that goes towards that, right? Because it's this hyperpigmentation. Depending on where you get it, women who get it, you know, under their top lip or on top of their top lip, they look like they have a mustache. Like, there's so much messaging tweaks you could make around that because I have this product that is very specific to help you get rid of melasma versus it just helps your skin. Like, if I have melasma, am I going to choose a product that says this will just help you with your skin and everything? Or am I going to choose the specific melasma product? I'm going to choose the specific melasma product. Now, if I don't have melasma, am I going to buy the melasma skincare product? No. So there is exclusion in this, but that's the point. Because the skincare that's for everyone, people don't have all the skincare problems. And they're not usually just like, I just want to optimize my skin. They're usually looking for a solution for a very specific skin problem. So they're going to buy that specific product. So hopefully I'm making sense here. There's this fear around leaving people out and saying no to people and excluding people, but you cannot be successful in online business or any business without excluding people because none of us want to have a product for everything. It doesn't make sense. And people don't want it because they want the thing that's going to help them with their specific problem. Right? Now, there's also this feeling of perfectionism around picking the wrong niche, right? Being afraid that you're going to choose wrong. Now, this is actually one of the other killers, this sort of overthinking. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But the point is actually to choose the wrong niche. I was on a call with a woman the other day and she was just like, well, what if I don't like that? What if it doesn't feel good? And I'm like, well, then do it because you don't have any clients. You're not out there. How are you going to know if it's the wrong niche? The point is to choose the wrong niche and then learn through action that it is the wrong niche. But I will tell you, and I can guarantee this, if you do not have a niche, you might make a little bit of money online, but it's never going to go beyond like a side hustle. So if you want to make good money doing this, you have to niche down and choose a niche. And I will make sure that in the show notes for this episode, all the other episodes I have done on niching are there. Okay. This is killing you because no one can refer you because nobody knows what you actually do. Because you're like, well, I help with so many things. So like there's this identity attachment. Okay. You're like, but I want to help with all the things. And it's not really about what you want. Right? Because you're going to be fighting an uphill battle. And what you're doing is you're fighting against basic human psychology. And you're not going to win that battle. Passion syndrome. But I want to talk about all these other things. But it's not about you. If you follow your passion, you're unlikely to be successful. Right? Now, online business and coaching is not my passion. Do I love it? Yes, I love what I do. I rarely wake up in the morning dreading going to work. I like what I do. I love supporting students. Like I truly love it, but it's not my passion. My passion is being in the mountains. My passion is being outside. It's hiking, it's skiing, it's biking, right? That's my passion. So if we try to follow our passion to get our job, because there's this saying out there, if you do what you're passionate about, you'll never work a day in your life. It's bullshit. It'll probably just ruin your passion, right? There was a time in my life where I was trying to be a ski guide. I love skiing. I'm passionate about skiing. And as I pursued being a ski guide, I quickly realized that it was going to make me hate skiing. It was going to ruin it for me. So I think that quote is bullshit because it's not actually about you. And if you are passionate about coaching, that is great. Good for you. But what you're passionate about speaking about doesn't matter. Okay. And if you just talk about what you're passionate about and try to help people with what you're passionate about, you're probably not going to be successful in business. Okay. It is not unicorns and rainbows. I talk about the same shit over and over and over again. I talk about niching every single day of my life. I help people with niches at every stage in their business constantly. Sometimes I want to puke because I've talked about niches so much. I could just barf all over myself. But it doesn't matter what I want and that I sometimes find it annoying because it's not about me. And niching is incredibly important and it helps the people I want to serve. I'm here to be of service. I'm here to help people. So I'm going to talk about niching all day long and just suck it up. Okay. So when you don't have a niche, you can't actually create anything. I was on a call with a woman the other day and she wanted feedback on her landing page on her website, but she didn't have a niche. And I essentially had to say, like, hey, I'm not trying to frustrate you or, make you feel demoralized, but there's no point in me giving you feedback on this until we've chosen a niche because this will just never be effective. It's all vague. It's not language people use. Like there's nothing on here that's going to keep someone on the page. Okay. So when you don't have a niche, your offer's not effective, your content's not effective, your sales page isn't effective. Like nothing is going to be effective in your business. Can you make sales? Yes, but you're not going to make enough. Okay. So what we need to do instead is we need to pick a niche that's good enough. A specific niche. We need to define the identity of the person. Who is this person? Because what that does is it helps us find them through advertising. We're not going to find high achievers online, but what we can find is busy moms, new moms, empty nesters, teachers, yoga instructors, fitness buffs, fitness pros. You know what I'm saying? We need to define the urgent problem. So it's not just headaches that they can take an Advil and move on with their life. It's a migraine, it's cystic acne, it's resistant weight loss, it's cancer, it's Hashimoto's, urgent problems. Okay. And just remember, you're not married to your niche, but you do need to date it seriously. Okay. We don't want to be switching our niche every month. Doesn't make sense. It's not enough time to get traction. We want to pick a niche and we want to try to stick with it for at least 6 months to a year before we make any decisions. Unless, of course, and if it's really early on. So sometimes in HCA, the first thing we do in the program is we pick the niche. And sometimes in that early phase, people kind of jump around a little bit. That's fine. But once we choose, we need to commit to it. We don't need to marry it yet, but we need to date it seriously. Okay. We need to commit and stick around. Okay. The second biggest killer of your success is overthinking-itis. This is where your to-do list has 40 items, but like your content calendar has 0 posts. So this is where you think a lot about things, but don't actually do the things, right? Things like writing and rewriting captions, but never publishing them. Maybe starting 10 projects and finishing none. Maybe constantly Googling new tools, new strategies, what successful coaches do, but you don't actually do the thing, right? You are just overthinking everything. And what you're wanting to do is find the right answer before you do the thing. And you are never going to get clarity without action. Clarity actually comes from action. And what I love, a really great type of student in HCA is someone who just does the thing and then asks me questions later, right? They go through HCA, they get the education, they just do the thing, and then they ask me why it didn't work, or they ask follow-up questions on it. Because once they've done the thing and they've put it into action, what we have is a data point, right? So it would be the difference of like, what do you think about this carousel post? Do you think this is going to do well on social media? Versus, I posted this carousel post and I didn't get engagement. Why was that? I'm actually going to be able to give you way better feedback on the second person because I can look at it and say, well, this is probably why people didn't respond to it. So the root cause of overthinking-itis, I think, is fear of failure, fear of visibility, fear of judgment, and getting it wrong, right? And I think there's a subconscious belief that thinking is somehow productive, but it's not, right? Because you are never going to be able to know how things are going to go until you do it. So really, we just need to do this. So a good example of this is a student I have in HCA, and she's really new in her business, and she really wants to launch September. At the time of this recording is September, so hopefully she'll be launching this month. She doesn't quite have the list size to do it, but she's doing it anyways. And that's cool. And I'm saying, okay, normally we would want you to have a bigger list size to do this. But why don't we just put it out there and see what happens? But let's just adjust our expectations. You might get no one, but at least you've done it. We have a data point, and then we can move forward. I love that. I think that's perfect. There's a chance she will fail. I mean, there's always a chance she will fail, but then at least she'll have a data point, because everyone's audience is different. When it comes to launching, I can't guarantee that an email is going to land with your audience, right? That's the point of testing. That's the point of doing a launch and doing it multiple times so we can tweak it and make it better, right? There is no perfect strategy. Words design. Thinking is not productive, right? And really what you need to get over is the fear of doing, the fear of judgment, the fear of failure. So it's killing you because it keeps you stuck in planning mode while other people are actually out there making sales. So while you're thinking about your niche, someone else has already hit their first 10K month because they just did it, right? It creates the illusion of progress, but then doesn't actually get you any results, right? And then the message never lands because it's not actually getting shared, okay? So what you want to do instead is just do the thing, right? What I told one of my clients in HC the other day, because she just wasn't making content. And when I looked at her content, the stuff that she had posted was very pretty. Like her videos were really nice. Everything was so nicely designed. And she's just like, yeah, I spent like 4 hours on that. And I was like, you need to make a higher volume of average content. Who cares? Like, as long as the quality is there in the message that you're putting across, just post a video. Like, don't edit it, just throw it out there, right? So what we need to do, if we're talking about content, if you're someone who, tries to spend 4 hours on one piece of content, or you're writing captions, rewriting them, and then never posting them, what you need to do is focus on posting more average content. My content, pretty average. Sometimes it's really good, but I would say it's pretty average, and I don't care. I'm getting my message out there. I'm connecting with the people who matter. Am I going viral? No, I don't care. Okay. So what you can do is use time blocking, or you can use co-working. So if you were to come into HCA, we've actually just added in twice monthly co-working calls where you can work as a group. And sometimes that's really just good for accountability, right? Because you're going to show up to the call and you're going to work and you're going to get something done that maybe you've been putting off. Okay. Just know that done is far superior to perfect always. Just do it. If you are not taking action, you are not making progress. If you are taking action and it's messy, it's imperfect, that is progress, and that is what we want. Okay. All right. The next killer of your success is something I call shiny offer addiction. Okay. And this is where you just keep creating more programs, more courses, more offers. Okay. Or you have like 3 different tiers for your package and then multiple programs. Okay. And the root cause of this, I think, is seeking novelty and like excitement instead of just doubling down, right? Business is really boring. If you can take nothing else from this episode, take this. Business can be boring as fuck. I have 2 programs. One I've had since 2019, the other I've had since 2020. It is now it's the end of 2025. We're going into the final quarter of 2025. So is it exciting? Not really. I've been teaching the same shit for 5 years plus. But that is what actually builds a business, and that is what brings in consistent revenue. There is this belief that more offers brings you more money. If one offer is not working, well, let's add in another one because it's going to accommodate more people. But how this is killing you is it confuses your audience. and obviously confused people don't buy. I do a lot of business audits. And when I go to the work with me page, what I want to see is one very compelling offer, maybe like a low ticket version or something like that's fine. But what I want to see is one clear mid to high ticket offer. And what I usually see is 4 different offers. This is my inflammation program. This is my gut program. This is my weight loss program. That's actually 3 different businesses. And when you have more offers, it actually adds a ton of complexity into your business. Okay. More programs mean more work because each program, especially when it serves different problems, is actually a different business, right? Now, if I had Health Coach Accelerator and then I had like a business audit, which was low ticket, right? Health Coach Accelerator, is a 4-figure investment, whereas like a business audit maybe is like a couple $100. Like that's not the same. That doesn't add complexity into the business, and they're serving the same person, same avatar. They're just different ways to work with me. That would be fine. But if you've got the gut program, the weight loss program, the hormone program, I'm talking to you, because each of those programs is a different avatar, requires a different sales strategy, different messaging. They need different funnels. They each need their own sales page. They're literally 3 different businesses, and you will never be successful building multiple businesses at once. Do not do this. Creating one business is a shit ton of work. It requires all your time. So don't try to build multiple at once. And when I say complexity, I just mean like you work more. It means more work and there's more things that you need. And I know this because at one point in my business, back in, I think 2019, when I first got into business coaching, what I first thought I was going to do is have a course business. I was going to have multiple courses because I saw other people doing this where they had like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like different courses. I was like, yeah, that's the business model I want. That looks fun because each course was like exciting. But then what I realized is that with each course, I'm like, okay, well, now I have to create a sales page. And well, now I have to create a funnel. Like, how am I going to market this? Because as much as I hope that people would just come to the dashboard in Thinkific where all my courses lived and just buy more courses, that is not what happened, right? Each course required its own launch strategy, its own evergreen funnel, its own sales page, emails, fulfillment, and then everything gets out of date, right? The business world is changing, the health world is changing. So these programs would always end up being out of date. And so I was updating multiple programs, and I very quickly learned, probably within a 6 to 8 month time frame, that like if I was going to pursue this business model, I was going to be working all the time. And I am a lifestyle entrepreneur, right? I don't want to work all the time. I could probably build a multiple 7-figure business if I wanted to work 40, 50-hour weeks, but I don't, right? I want my time. I want to spend time with my family. I want to be in the mountains, okay? So complexity always fails and simplicity scales. And so this is why in Health Coach Accelerator, I am talking about creating one premium offer. Now, if you want to have some sort of low ticket, smaller offer to help get people into your bigger offer, I think there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't necessarily add more complexity. And that might look like, giving away a 30-minute consult where people can just, pay you for 30 minutes of your time, or maybe it's a health audit or something like that. That's fine. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you who has the gut program, the hormone program, and the weight loss program. Okay. We want to stick with one offer, one promise, one avatar, one transformation. The power of one. It's a very, very important principle when it comes to business. We want to refine it, iterate it over time, and don't abandon it every time it feels like it's not working. Okay. One offer, and then a place for them to go next, right? So if you come into HCA, you get 6 months access to my team, myself, to the live support. And then after 6 months, you can pay a membership fee to continue accessing the support, right? So we have one clear offer and then a way to keep working with us. That's what you want. All right. The next massive killer of your business is the waiting to be ready trap, also known as let me file my LLC, build my website, design a logo, write a tagline, maybe order business cards before I've ever signed a client. Okay. So symptoms of this trap are obsessing over businessy things like your logo, your tagline, your brand colors, maybe the perfect domain name, spending weeks picking the right email platform, but then never actually sending an email, feeling like I need to set everything up first before even talking about what you do publicly. And the big confusion is confusing preparation with progress. Okay. So the root cause of this is, I think, fear of rejection or fear of being seen before you feel legit. Like this feeling of like, I need to look perfectly professional, perfectly legit before I even put myself out there, right? And what you're typically doing is you're trying to build confidence through tools instead of action. And this belief that a real business needs to look a certain way before it's allowed to take clients, right? Feeling like you need to build the business before you launch it, and actually it needs to be the other way around. Another conversation I was having recently was a woman who, had finished, I think she was still in school, and she had never taken on a client, but she had people asking about working with her. There were people who were like, just let me know when you're ready to go. And she thought she needed to have all these things in place. And I was literally like, email those people as soon as we get off the call and take them on as clients. But I don't have anything to offer them. I'm like, offer them a 1-hour session, right? Offer them 3 sessions, right? Like anything. And, you're probably like, but Kendra, you teach online programs. And what are you talking about? Yeah, I think the goal is to have an online program. I truly believe that. But in the beginning, let's just get scrappy. We don't have to have the program before we make sales. We can get out there and just offer our services, right? We can get out there and just say, hey, I'll take you on as a one-on-one client. Okay. And when I started my business, this is exactly what I did. Like, as soon as I finished my certification program, I was posting on Facebook. I was like, hey, I can run these labs. And like, I was doing single one-off lab sessions. I had nothing in place, right? All I had was a calendar so people could book a session with me. And I had a way to take payment, right? That's it. That's all I had. An email, a Gmail. That's all I had. That is all you need. Okay. So it's killing you because what you do is you're spending months in pre-launch, and that never actually ends. And like, you are so ignorant about building a business before you've actually run a business that like all the decisions you're making are actually going to end up being irrelevant when you actually put it out there. So much changes once you actually have the experience, right? It's like if I'm learning how to ride my mountain bike, I can watch all these videos on technique and like, okay, I need to stand up. I need to keep my weight back. I need to keep my head up. I need to look ahead, not down at the wheel. Like, I can do all these things to prep to learn mountain biking, but it's going to feel totally different once I'm actually on the bike, right? And it doesn't matter how many YouTube videos I've watched, how many books I've read, or how much I've, watched other people bike. Once you're actually doing it, it's an entirely different experience, right? So what you're doing is you're delaying the most important thing, which is helping people and make money. Okay. So what we want to do is sell first, build second. I mean, this is what we do inside HCA. Okay. Like I said, all you need, a way to take payment. Very easy. There's a million payment platforms that you can use online. You can set up a Stripe account. You can set up PayPal, whatever. Scheduling calendar, right? Calendly, super cheap. I think there's a free version. Works great, easy to use, and your brain full of knowledge. That's it. Sign someone for a one-on-one session. Give them a package of 6 sessions, right? Because what you need to be focusing on, you'll figure it out as you go, right? And this isn't legal advice. Obviously, like, client contracts are important. LLC stuff. I'm Canadian. I don't know what the fuck that is. I just hear people ask me about it all the time. That stuff you can figure out later. Figure it out as you go. Just take the client. Just take the client, right? Like, I had so many things that were not set up when I started taking clients, but I eventually did. And over time, you get more and more dialed through experience. The most important thing you need to work on as a new business owner is only 2 things: sales and marketing, sales and marketing, sales and marketing. You can do the other things later, minus a logo. You don't need a logo or a website or a tagline, right? Just a way to take money, the scheduling calendar, and your beautiful, beautiful brain, right? Just yourself talking about what you do everywhere. Sales and marketing, right? Everything else will feel more clear as you do it. You are never going to be able to launch the perfect business. And if you try to do that, you're going to spend all this time launching it, and then you're going to change everything with experience. That's just the way it goes. Okay, cool. Okay, the final killer of your success, I call DIY until I die syndrome. So you are doing everything in your business. You're designing your sale page, you're writing your email sequence, you're learning ads, you're scheduling your emails, you're scheduling your social media content all before breakfast, right? So the symptoms of this is refusing to hire help or delegate even small tasks. You're constantly saying, it's just easier if I do it myself, or no one does this better than me. So you're spending hours on tasks that literally drain you and are not your zone of genius. And then what that's doing is it's stealing your energy so you don't have time to do the tasks that actually matter. The root cause of this is typically control issues. We're control freaks. We don't trust other people. Okay. Very common, especially with entrepreneurs, especially with people who want to start businesses. There's typically a fear of wasting money or trusting the wrong people. Maybe you had a bad experience hiring a freelancer or contractor in the past, and you're not valuing your time as much as your cash, right? So it's killing you because you're literally burning yourself out doing tasks that you could hire someone to do for $10 an hour, right? Instead of the tasks that only you as a CEO can do. So you're bottlenecking your own growth. This is so common for people who are in a year or so into their business. Because usually when we first start out, we're going to do everything ourselves. And I do recommend learning how to do everything in your business. If everyone quit tomorrow in my business, I could still run my business. It would be pretty stressful, but I could do it. Okay. I think there's a lot of value in learning the things in your business, right? But if you go like this forever, what's going to happen is you never have enough time to work on the income generating activities, which now you know are sales and marketing, sales and marketing, sales and marketing. Okay. So what is really important to do instead is understand that you're not going to be an expert in everything. Now, I am not someone who will ever teach you to have a huge team. I don't have a big team. I have a small team and people work for me very part-time. The most someone probably works for me is like 10 hours a week, right? We have several different contractors, but I don't have employees. I don't have a massive team. And I don't think when you're earlier on in your business, you want to be hiring a team, right? But it's often worth it to spend a little bit of money to have something do something for you that it's going to free up your time, especially if it's something you absolutely hate. If something is just making you bang your head against the wall all day, and then once you finish doing it, you have no energy for sales and marketing, you're never going to grow your business. It's worth the investment. And you don't need a team. You don't even need a part-time VA, but maybe you hire a contractor to help you do small projects, right? It's just like, I built this opt-in page and I can't integrate it. I can't figure it out. Great. Go on upwork.com, hire someone. And it'll probably cost you like under $100 and they're going to do it in like 20 minutes and then it's done. And what I would recommend is having them send a little screen share recording of them doing it so you know how to do it for next time. Okay. Or even really inexpensive tasks. Like you can hire someone to schedule your social media for $10 an hour. And it probably, with the amount of content you're putting out, it's maybe going to take them a couple hours a month. Like, is 20 hours a month like worth it to get back like 2 hours of your time? Like, I think so. That's 2 hours where you could be DMing people and following up with leads, right? And the other thing I just want to say is that you need to understand that having a bad experience with a contractor or freelancer is very normal. It actually can't be avoided at every level in business. It's actually just a part of the business process. So know that you're going to hire someone and it's going to be a bad investment, or they're going to ghost you, or they're going to do a shitty job. Okay. I've hired a lot of bad contractors. I've had to fire people. It sucks. It's actually the worst part of doing business. I hate letting people go. Haven't had to do it in a while. I actually have an amazing team of contractors right now, and I am so in love with them. Like, they are so amazing. Couldn't ask for a better team, but I've had some bad ones and I've had to fire people. I've had people ghost me. I've trained people. I've spent like $1,000 to train someone for a month who did one day on their own and was like, this is too much. And you're like, oh my God. And even one of my coaches, Rick Mulready, I remember him telling us, like, they spent all this time. They hired someone to hire for them. Did this hiring project. They narrowed it down. They spent, a bunch of weeks getting the perfect person. They trained them, and then the person ghosted them. And this is someone who is like 15 years in their business. Like, this is just normal. You can't avoid it. You're going to have bad experiences. Hiring is a little bit of an art. So just because you've had a bad experience is not a sign that you need to do it all yourself. Okay. But if you are wasting your time in all the admin pieces of your business, like onboarding and emailing and all these little things, and you're not making time for sales and marketing, you will never grow your business, and you're going to need to suck it up and invest a little bit for help so that you can actually focus on the income generating activities in your business. All right, my friend. I hope this is helpful. I wonder if you can see yourself in any of these syndromes or addictions or traps. I'm sure you can. I know I dealt with a lot of these things early on in my business, but hopefully this episode has given you a little bit of awareness and given you some tools to recognize them and make progress anyways. All right. I will see you next Monday, same time, same place, where I help you become wealthy AF.